The Ugly Duckling. On a beautiful farm, where flowers danced in the spring breeze and a blue lake sparkled in the sun, there lived a very, very special mother duck. Her name was Dona Pluma, and her heart was overflowing with love as she cared for her precious eggs. Every day, she lovingly arranged her nest, made from the softest straw she could find and decorated with her own feathers. The farmer and his wife always came to visit, bringing fresh corn and clean water. Soon, my little ones will arrive, thought Dona Pluma, placing herself on the eggs with all the care in the world. And so she waited, humming soft melodies to her eggs, while butterflies fluttered around and flowers perfumed the spring air. The big day has arrived. Crack, crack, the eggs began to break, one by one. "Welcome, my loves," said Dona Pluma as she saw her little yellow babies emerging from the shells. Pip, pip. Each duckling that was born was a new joy. 1, 2, 3, fluffy yellow ducklings looking like little balls of golden cotton. But wait, there was still one egg, the biggest of all, and he was taking longer than the others to open up. Crack, crack. Slowly, the last egg began to break. "Come on, little one, you can do it," encouraged Dona Pluma. And then, oh, to everyone's surprise, a different duckling came out of the egg. He was bigger than his brothers, his feathers were gray instead of yellow, and he looked a little, well, clumsy. "Welcome, my little one," said Dona Pluma, giving him the same love she gave to the other puppies. After all, for a mother, all her children are special, no matter what they are like. The days passed on the farm, and our special duck tried his best to play with his little brothers. But it wasn't easy. His legs were longer, and sometimes he stumbled when he tried to run after others. "Look at him," whispered the chicken to her friends. "What a strange duckling," muttered the turkey, all smug. Even the rooster, from the top of his fence, shook his head and said, "I've never seen a duck like that in my entire life." But do you know who never stopped loving and defending our little friend? Your mommy, of course. "Don't pay attention to them, my love," said Dona Pluma, covering him with her wings. "You are special in your own way." And every night, when the stars began to shine in the sky, Dona Pluma would gather all her puppies and tell magical stories about how every creature in the world had its own special glow. But even so, our duckling couldn't help but feel sad about the comments he heard throughout the day. On a particularly starry night, when the full moon shone like a big cheese in the sky, our duckling made a decision that made his heart ache. He decided to leave in search of a place where he could be happy being exactly as he was. With tears in his eyes, he approached the nest where his mother slept. Very careful not to wake her, he wrote in the dirt with his beak, "Mommy, thank you for all your love. I'm going to look for a place where I can make friends who accept me. I love you lots." The moon seemed to cry along with him as our duckling took his first steps away from the warm nest. Fireflies lit their way like little lanterns, and the wind whispered words of courage in their ears. Maybe, he thought, somewhere there is someone like me, someone who understands what it's like to feel different. And so, with hope in his heart, our little friend began his great adventure. And so our duckling's great adventure began. He walked through flower fields, crossed crystal clear streams, and explored new places he had never seen before. One day, he found a group of wild ducks playing in a pond. "Hello," he said shyly. The ducks even let him play a little, but he soon realized that he still hadn't found his place. Then he met some very elegant moorhens. "You can stay with us," they said. But even though they were kind, our little friend still felt different. He even found a flock of big, noisy geese. "Come fly with us," they invited. But the duckling's wings were still too small to follow them. And so, day after day, our brave little friend continued his search. Sometimes when night came and he felt alone, he would look at the stars and remember his mother's affection. One day he thought, "I will find my special place." Little by little, the leaves on the trees began to turn yellow, and it began to get colder. Winter was coming. Our duckling, who was already a little bigger, saw the snowflakes dancing in the air for the first time. How beautiful, he thought, seeing everything turn white. But he soon discovered that winter could also be very, very cold. Its feathers were trembling in the cold wind, and finding food was becoming increasingly difficult. It was then that he met the rabbit family. Mommy Rabbit, Daddy Rabbit, and 5 furry, bouncy bunnies. "You can stay in our den," they offered, their pink noses shivering from the cold. And so, during the coldest winter nights, our duckling would snuggle among the furry bunnies. They shared warm carrots and told funny stories about the adventures of life in the forest. Even though he was different from rabbits, for the first time in a long time, our little friend felt the warmth of true friendship. Finally, after the long winter, spring is smiling again. The flowers began to awaken, and the ice on the lake began to melt, forming crystal clear water like a magic mirror. One special morning, our little friend went to the lakeside to drink water. When he leaned over the shiny surface, oh, what a surprise! Who was that majestic creature he saw reflected in the water? The once gray feathers now glowed whiter than snow. His neck, once clumsy, had become long and elegant. Its wings were big and strong, like the sails of a magical ship. Could it really be me? He asked himself, barely able to believe it. It was then that a group of majestic swans landed on the lake. And for the first time, our little friend understood he wasn't an ugly duckling. He was a young, beautiful swan who just needed time to grow and transform. "Welcome, young swan," said the older swans, swimming towards him with grace and elegance. "We've been waiting for your transformation." A very wise swan explained that sometimes swan eggs can roll into other birds' nests. "That's what happened to you," he said gently. "You were born a swan, but raised by a very loving family of ducks." Our little friend felt his heart fill with joy and understanding. Now he understood why he always felt different. There was nothing wrong with him. He was just a swan who needed time to discover his true nature. The other swans taught him to swim elegantly, to fly with their strong wings, and they shared all the swan traditions and stories. For the first time, he didn't have to try to be like anyone else. He could just be himself. With his heart full of longing and gratitude, our friend decided to make a very special visit. With his strong wings, he flew back to the farm where he was born. When it landed near the old nest, all the animals gasped. "What a magnificent creature," they exclaimed. The same chickens that once mocked him now admired him. The proud turkey bowed greatly, and the rooster sang his most beautiful song. But the most special moment was when Dona Pluma saw him. Her eyes filled with tears of joy. "My son," she exclaimed, running to hug him. "I always knew you were special, not for your looks, but for your kind and brave heart." "Mommy," he said, wrapping his big wings around her, "it was your love that gave me the strength to never give up. You taught me that true value is what we are inside." And so, our friend discovered that being different wasn't a bad thing. It was a wonderful thing. Now he spent his days swimming happily with the other swans, but he never forgot to visit his family on the farm.